want to do a ton of freeze drying, but I also want to do some meals for our family that we can take along when we go hunting and fishing. And then not only that, I want to figure out how to make the freeze drying more usable, more user friendly, not the freeze dryer itself, but the food that's been freeze dried. And I also have to make the family dinner. So I thought I would get some things going in both the freeze dryer, in my kitchen, and I thought you might like to join me. Here we go. These 4 chickens are the absolute last of what I have as far as Costco chickens go. All the rest of the chicken now that's in the freezer is my homegrown, home canned, or frozen, parted out, whatever it is. It's my home chicken. So I do want to get rid of, these are from 2022, ironically. They're gonna be fine. We're gonna pop them in the Instant Pot for about 20-30 minutes, and then I'm going to pull the chicken off. They're partially frozen still. That's okay as well. That's one of the best parts of using an Instant Pot. And then we'll even use like the broth for the upcoming recipes. I'm gonna preheat my pan over here. I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil because I know when my friend and I packaged this moose that we did not add any fat whatsoever to the moose meat. And I have 4 packs of the moose meat that we're gonna get going over here. Very basic salt and pepper for everything. And then I have pasta water over here. I am out of onions and hold on, here we go. So I am trying to walk that fine line of buying more food and using, but this is the size of my onions in the garden. So Caleb grabbed me a few. Throw some onion in here. Okay, to make the stroganoff, I've used both these bouillon cubes. I've used powdered bouillon from Azure. I've used the beef packets of gravy, anything kind of a beef flavor to it. So I'm gonna put 4 bouillon cubes in here. Because I did order some stuff from Azure, but I'm trying to not go to the store. I'm trying to use what's in the stock that I don't want or that I prefer not to continue to restock up on. 4 cups of water, so 1 cup of water per cube. So I'm gonna put 3.5 bags of medium egg noodles in the boiling water. Let those go while we finish this up. our stroganoff, we are gonna do 4 cans of cream of mushroom soup. Now, I do prefer to use Azure's mushroom soup base, but I don't have enough. And I have that coming in on my Azure order that's coming in actually tomorrow, but that's okay. I did it this way last time. Aaron thought it was great. And I wanted to use these up before they even got close to an expiration date, so I can restock my soups, my soup cans in my basement stock. Zip up. That one's a little different because it has roasted garlic. And to this, I'm gonna do 2 blocks of cream cheese. I'm gonna taste. I am gonna use a little more of this soup base to give it a little more punch of a flavor. Just to your liking. Okay, using this giant bowl here, I'm gonna mix half and half and then let them cool. Oops. I did manage to get all of it in this bowl. I'm gonna give it a taste test. Should have done that earlier. I did taste test it. I just didn't taste it until it was all together. Tastes like it always does. It's a really, really good meal. I'll tell you, we were out hunting yesterday and we really needed something hearty when we were out there. And after like 6 hours of walking and hiking with packs on, all that stuff, this is gonna be so easy to kind of bring back is our thought. And this is gonna be wonderful. I did try to get all of it in this bowl so that I'm just cooling one, and then I'm gonna pre-freeze the trays, but I'm not gonna put this hot on the tray. So let me just set this aside and we'll move on. The next recipe is gonna be like a cheesy chicken and rice with broccoli, and I think it is going to be fantastic. And now that it's after the fact, I know that it is. And so I started by sauteing some onion in a little bit of oil, and then I added my rice to that so that I could just saute and give the rice a bit of color and flavor. And then the very first two chickens, on the same night as I made the stroganoff, I just pulled them off of the bone, chopped them up, and then all of the leftover bits and pieces that you don't see are set aside. When the other two chickens are done, I do put them back into the Instant Pot, and I let them go on low overnight in order to make some good chicken bone broth for the next day. Okay, again, this is not something that I have like a recipe for or a Pinterest link or anything like that. This is literally just stuff made up in my head that I would literally make for a normal weeknight meal, something I would make into a freezer meal, whatever it is. I am still trying to kind of get some of these soups, no soap in the food. These soups I got out of the overflow pantry in the basement. Because they're not actually soups that we normally buy. I must have bought them for a recipe or something like that. So I really thought the cream of chicken would go good with the rice dinner, and it did. It did just fine. I wish it had been like a cheesier flavor, but who cares? At this point, it worked out really, really well. And then some simple seasoning and spices such as just some black pepper, some salt. It maybe could have handled a couple of herbs or something like that, but really it was so basic almost. I think it's very, very young kid friendly as well because I didn't add any spice to it. And then I just add the amount of water according to the rice. I know you would think putting the soup and things in there, but what I've learned with rice is put the right amount of water for the rice and you have it kind of saucy. Whereas if you try to calculate, you've added kind of this extra liquid, it oftentimes makes it very, very dry. You end up having to add water later. So that is just one thing I've learned in making these different rices out of my head, is the right amount of water for the rice, which is a 2-to-1. So I cook my rice on low for 20 minutes and then I shut off the burner. And what that does is it lets it steam the rest of the way through. The rice is cooked perfectly no matter what you've added or if it's just plain white rice. But what I went and did was the rest of the broccoli that is in the freezer, I grabbed that and then chopped it up really small because I want it in similar size to the chicken and the rice. And then by putting it on top, it just is going to steam with the rice for the last 5 minutes with everything is actually turned off. It's not continuing to cook. And then we are going to stir that in after 5 minutes. And you see underneath, I'm struggling a little bit here, but the rice is fully cooked. And to that, this is one of the cheeses that I had left over. It's maybe a couple of cups. Whatever was left in the block is what I use. And it's quite a bit of cheese because this is honestly quite a large bit of food. And it could have handled maybe some sour cream or some cream cheese or something like that. But this, I had used the last of the cream cheese blocks. I didn't have any sour cream left over. And I didn't have anything like an American cheese or whatever. And so it did end up really good. And like Aaron said, this is not necessarily, he's not a big rice or chicken fan. And he said, this is really something you and Cody would like. And that is very, very true. Cody and I had it for dinner. I let everyone choose this night. Did you want stroganoff or did you want the chicken and rice? And both Cody and I chose the chicken and rice. And I thought it was great. I think it'll be great as a freeze-dried meal as well. in place of kind of one of the store-bought things that Cody buys, which is a broccoli pasta, a cheesy broccoli pasta that she loves. So it's really good. This meal here that you saw in an earlier video us make on the Argo, which is like a wonton soup, that is the chicken broth from this night. Aaron took over. What are you making?
Spaghetti.
Dad's spaghetti. And then what's gonna happen with it?
We're gonna eat it.
And?
Deep fry or
deep fry? Then we're gonna deep fry. What are we doing? What are we doing?
Freeze dry.
Freeze dry. So you've ate a lot of freeze dried spaghetti and you love it.
I wouldn't say a lot, but I've eaten some, yes. And it was good. It was just like normal spaghetti when you're done.
Nice. So continuing all week long, so far we've made stroganoff, chicken and rice with the broccoli and the cheese. And then we made the chicken gravy. So I got four whole chickens out of the deep freeze, plus 4 things of moose meat. And now this is 3 of the Costco packs of organic hamburger, right? And then 3 packs of the hot Italian sausage. They're still a little bit frozen, but it's getting late. It's already 8 o'clock. We just got home. And so he's gonna do 3 of these. Store-bought spaghetti sauce, because it's your favorite.
Well, I didn't marry an Italian.
You didn't marry an Italian. So store-bought spaghetti sauce and store-bought noodles. We're gonna eat it tonight and then throw it in the freeze dryer. And we'll have more freeze-dried meals prepped and ready to go. Yummy, yummy, yummy.
So Jessica doesn't fall out.
Fall out?
On a moose hunt.
Yeah, we don't want any falling out. We gotta keep up our strength and hunt.
Did you tell him?
What?
Oh, just tomato soup was just not enough.
It was. I made tomato soup for us, and it was delicious. And Cody goes, "It is one of the best soups I've ever had." That was after a 6-mile hike, and I brought no protein, just tomato soup and some chips. So we've decided a little more substantial on days like that. Not that tomato or any of the soups are bad, it just was not enough food. 2 cans of tomato soup for 3 people. Keeping with the theme of this video, this is our real life, just making massive amounts. Normally I would do 1/3 of this in order for the family, and it would make plenty of leftovers. And then we're just really making huge amounts of the food. But it's a normal night in our house, which is full of chaos and people and all of the things, and dinner has to get done. And I am going through and organizing stuff while Aaron took over dinner, and I am so grateful for the help and that I'm not in this alone. Massive, Aaron had to dump it. Massive pile of spaghetti. I have a side dish in the oven because we are eating it tonight and I do want some vegetables with it. We have some zucchini out of the garden that we grew ourselves in the broil, as well as a little bit of French bread in there. We're gonna serve up this spaghetti and then I'll let you know how it freeze dries. Last night, after letting it come down nearly, not quite to room temperature, it was still hot, I popped it in Ziploc bags to go in the fridge because I was not quite ready to pre-freeze all of it. So I have my trays ready. It's the next day. We are going to get this stroganoff on the trays, and then I'm gonna pop them with the lids on in the freezer. The freeze dryer is still currently running. So I want, if I can, to kind of get these spread out. And then when these are frozen or pre-frozen, to make things a little bit simpler on the freeze dryer, I am then going to put them in. But because it's running, I couldn't even put them in right now if I wanted to. So No big deal. I'm just gonna use my hands. They're the best tools. And I am not gonna put it like in this. In fact, I have 3 bags. Like this should fill the freeze dryer. So I wanna keep it below the tray where possible. So making it to where I can kind of easily break it apart without crushing all of the pasta when it's done. The stroganoff alone filled all of the trays. So that's a huge amount of food. Okay, so I got this stroganoff out of the freeze dryer. I have a scale and a bowl so that I can dump it in the bag. And I am going to package the stroganoff up. What I wanted to mention is I went to the local grocery store that sells some freeze-dried meals, and right here they had beef stroganoff. 4.3 ounces is 2 servings, $9.99, $10. Oh my gosh, for this one package of meals. So we're gonna see how many of these we can make and let you know how much money we're actually saving doing all of this. Keep in mind, I didn't buy a single ingredient for all of this stroganoff. Therefore, it wasn't free. The mousse was free for sure. The pasta, I think maybe $3 to $6 total in pasta and a couple of cans of soup. And that is it. So in reality, this cost me hardly nothing. We'll see how many packages we can make. I'll show you what I'm doing. I watched a couple of episodes of someone else's freeze-dried videos, and I wish I remember what his name was. It had something to do with the school bus, which makes no sense, but he weighs everything, and so I have literally done that with the meals. I have weighed them out and then packaged them up. So 18, that's $180 if I were to go in, and not only that, I have more here than they even had in the grocery store of this single item. So that's 36 meals. And now I'm gonna look it up and see how much money I spent on the ingredients here, and then let you know what this 36 meals, $180, had we bought it through one of the other companies, what the difference in price and what we're saving actually is. Okay, so if I were to go to Walmart and buy like the off-brand pasta that's in here, the Campbell's soup and the cream cheese, it would cost me today $12.30. So let's divide that by the 18 packs. That is $12.03 divided by 18. That's 67 cents a package. Let's divide that by 2. That's 33 cents a serving. 33 cents a serving. $12 for all of this food. Are you stinking kidding me? Versus 180 minus $12. We saved $168 making this food. Not only that, there's no preservatives or anything in it. We didn't add anything to it. Even the mousse is naturally grown out there in the wild. What an amazing, incredible savings this is for my family in the long run if we stay on top of these sort of things. So that is fantastic. Well, here we go, friends. We are opening it for the end of this video. So really quick, the chili I mentioned in a different video because I just pulled it out of the freezer. We got it going. It was like flexible. So what I did was, oh, that's okay. I could literally before, if I picked it up like this, it was flexible. So there's still moisture in it that was not a good thing. So the chili, fantastic. So I have it upstairs. I got out the food bags, a handy dandy scale, and I think this is one of the biggest lessons that I have learned, and doing it just right off the bat is I did take the help, like I showed you, from the store in not only getting some ideas that then rolled into all my own ideas, but also sizes. Like, how much should you package? How much should be in each bag? And then one of the things I learned was, so take the spaghetti. This is what the spaghetti looks like freeze dried. Take the spaghetti, for example, and the stroganoff, because they're pastas and you don't want to crunch those down, they take a larger bag than like the rice. The rice, we're not worried about the rice getting crunched, and it's more of a weight versus volume. So the same weight, so 4 ounces is generally what we're packaging. 4 ounces freeze dried may fit in what I am calling, what's the size on this? This is their 6x9 bag, and then the other bag that we're having to use for pastas is the 8x12 to get the 4 ounces. So we just start out with each one of them is I just break out the scale here and I choose the item and I choose ounces. So I'm just gonna start with, this is, like I said, this is beef pot roast, like a Sunday roast, and some potatoes. Let me see what you're looking at, sorry. Let me see what you're looking at. Okay, now you're looking where I'm looking. So beef pot roast and potatoes. There was a gravy I poured over the top of it. So when you reconstitute this, it'll have all those yummy carbs and super big amount of roast at the bottom here. So see, that's 3. Okay, so 3.9, so close enough to 4. That will fit in here. When it doesn't fit into the measuring cup and I have to use a bowl, that's when we know to use the bigger bag. So let me package these up really quick. I know it's been a longer video than normal. I did want to show you all of the steps, all the different things, because I know many of you are considering getting a freeze dryer, and oftentimes when I watch freeze drying videos, they might show a meal, they might show the freeze dryer, but I wanted it to be a little more inclusive of, here is how we did the things we did for a week in order to put all of these meals in the freezer. One of the questions I got on my freeze drying community post here on YouTube is, why am I using the sealer that came with it, this Harvest Right sealer, versus like I have the chamber vac that will seal Mylar bags. The reason behind that is the oxygen absorbers will seal down the bags, and I'll show you that here in just a second. Just part of the haul of what we've done this last week. And what would happen in that situation is if I put these in my chamber vac, which would be fine if they were a powder, like a drink mix or say tomato soup, which can totally be like a fine powder, but you don't want to crunch your pasta. And that chamber vac is going to do it at a pace, at a force that will literally cause you to crush whatever it is that you have put. So we just stick an oxygen absorber in. On these I kind of seal because I need this to be really, really flat. And then above the line, because it's Mylar, I just do it twice. And there you go. That is sealed up. This thing, it can be warm to the touch, but it's not gonna burn you. Super easy. So I ran out of Harvest Right's oxygen absorbers. That's fine. When I buy Mylar bags from Azure, I also buy oxygen absorbers. Well, then there goes the question with the chamber vac. Because I do have the chamber vac, oftentimes I don't waste an oxygen absorber. So now I found a use for the oxygen absorbers I have and don't have to purchase any right now. So working through what we have in our pantry, in our overflow, in all the different areas, and really, really bulking up and getting, this is rice, that's how much space, it's 4 ounces is taken in this bag. That was pretty tight. But anyway, really, really working through our freezer, getting rid of some of the things that I'm like, I don't love that. Like I wouldn't, that's not something, or it's not necessarily a mistake purchase. It was the right purchase at the time to make sure the freezer had food in it and those sort of things. So this isn't required to do it twice. So if you're Harvest Right or someone who does a lot of this, I just am overly making sure that everything is nice and sealed, not getting any bugs or bacteria in there. All right, I'm gonna talk 2 more things to close out. Look, let me show you the difference. See how the oxygen absorber has sucked all the air out? These guys, you and I just sealed those up. So this is one day. This is what I was talking about, like with the pastas and the spaghettis. Now, my friend Allison from Arizona asked me about the price of packaging. And so I went into our local Three Bears. It's where I can get things. I don't know if these are nationwide prices, but I can tell you this is what I'm having to pay up here for the Harvest Right stuff in Alaska. And I went ahead and snapshot, here we go. Okay, so the oxygen absorbers for 50 of them is $16.99. And then for the 10 by 14, for 50 of those, that's $25. And for the 8 by 12s, which are these, right? These, I haven't even done any of the 10 by 14s, but the 8 by 12s are $20.99 for a 50 pack. So we aren't even, we're at 50 cents for the bigger packaging, less for the smaller. The oxygen absorbers were at less than 50 cents a package. So with all of that, and what I've done here is literally just started clearing things out of the freezer. Take the Mexican rice as an example. All of that came out of the pantry. I didn't even clear anything out of the freezer. It was just a side dish one night that we made. So I thought, hey, if I'm gonna make this, I'm gonna make a giant pot of it and freeze dry it as opposed to just enough for tonight's dinner. So that is kind of what we have been doing. The spaghetti, we would have probably had a ton more of this, but we literally ate so much of it as like leftovers and lunch and so on, instead of freeze drying as much as we would freeze dry normally. So some other things, all of it together. So this is what the chicken and broccoli cheesy rice. So that's one of the things I made. I freeze dried some mashed potatoes because I did turn the chickens into this. This is a chicken gravy. You've seen me make that on the channel before. So basically you just use that chicken, you make a gravy out of it, and I added a bunch of vegetables to it so that we have the carbs and we have the the vegetables and all of that. And then you can take like the chicken gravy and put it on mashed potatoes. My plan is to roast up some potatoes, freeze dry those separate, so you can kind of mix and match some of the meals where things go together well. The stroganoff is beautiful. It's right here, as you can see. And then you saw the spaghetti already, you saw the Mexican rice, and you saw the chili. So my goal with jars is when we go into winter and I'm done canning, is I would actually like to put a lot more freeze-dried in jars so that Aaron can just take them for lunches instead of eating out when there aren't enough leftovers or whatever that case may be. But I think storing some of it in jars is gonna be fantastic as well. And then I'm not actually using any packaging at all. So maybe a tip would be, if you're looking at just eating at home and you're getting the freeze dryer in order to help save you money, you may wanna store the things in jars and buckets and that sort of way, as opposed to everything is an individual serving in a Mylar bag. That of course would save you about $1. Each serving is 2, according to the big name brands of freeze-dried meals. So every one of these is 2 servings. So you start doubling that, and that is just absolutely insane. It takes it down to about 50 cents in packaging per serving. So that is amazing. And then the jars are just my reused jars. So they are free to me to keep using. I hope I addressed some of your freeze dryer questions. I hope that I gave you some inspiration of maybe some meal ideas. And even if you don't have a freeze dryer, all of the meals I made, I think would be fantastic freezer meals. It would be amazing to have the mashed potatoes and all those things just ready to go in the freezer. You pull out a single or double serving if you're a single person, or a family size serving if you're feeding a family, and just be able to pull these things out and voila, you're done. You have dinner ready. And it made sense to me to do it this style because I just don't have it in me right now with fall to be harvesting the garden and be doing freezer meal workshops and be making dinner for my family on top of all of it. So all I did was make a massive dinner. We ate the dinner, had it for leftovers if we needed, and then I freeze dried whatever we were eating that day all throughout the week in order to make these meals, and that worked amazingly. So that is a great way of doing freezer meals as well. Whatever you're cooking, double, triple, quadruple it if you can, and freeze up the rest of it, especially if they're family favorites. There's nothing in here that isn't a favorite or something that we think will be fantastic out and about when we really need a load of carbs, some good protein, and the fruits and vegetables and those sort of things. So we think it's gonna work great. We think it's gonna work great. I'll let you know. With that, thank you for joining me today. If you're new around here, please hit that subscribe button. Please share the videos, like and comment. All of those things really do help our channel to grow. We greatly appreciate each and every one of you with all of our heart. Thank you for being here and enjoying our homestead today. I look forward to sharing with you something else in the next video. I'll see you soon.